Hey everybody, Austin back again with yet another Let's Play video. Today, as you can see, it's going to be Batman Returns for the Sega CD. And you know what? This is actually going to be sort of a special Let's Play for me because I finally beat this game for the first time last night. Straight through, start to finish, no continues, no nothing. And well, I'm sure most of you guys don't know that I actually first experienced this game back in 95 or 96 or so. It was one of the very first Sega CD games I got when I got my system back in the mid-90s. And I played it a lot. I really enjoyed the game. I loved the music, I liked the graphics, I loved the driving scenes, but it was a very, very difficult game. I never finished it. And over the years, I've made a little bit of progress. The more I've played it. I've gotten farther and farther, and I hit a brick wall probably around, I don't know, maybe 2002 or 2003. I probably hit a brick wall where I could get to the final boss occasionally, not all the time, and when I did, I couldn't beat him. I would get my ass handed to me, and chances are by the time I got to him, I ran out of continues, and so when I died at him, I got shot back to the beginning. Very discouraging because this game's not short. It's about an hour-and-a-half long game if you can run through it without continuing. So yeah, fast forward to about, well, not even a week ago as of recording this video, and I decided to bust out the Sega CD again. And as many of you guys know, I've parted out a lot of my collection, and Batman Returns was one of those games that I no longer owned. I actually had a nice complete in-box copy a couple of years back, but I sold it. And went up to East Starland, right up the street from me, and they had a couple copies there, and I went ahead and snapped one up, as well as a couple other games I wanted to play again, like Prince of Persia on the Sega CD and Android Assault and whatnot. But yeah, Batman Returns was one of the main ones I really wanted to revisit and try to complete. And you know what? After a good bit of practice, after a good bit of readjusting to the game, and after a little bit of cheating and skipping my way to the final boss after realizing there's a level select code, and practicing the final boss and figuring out how to beat him, I went ahead and put all that knowledge to use last night, and I ran through the game and completed it. So 17 or 18 years after first playing the game, I finally completed it, and man, was it a good feeling being able to say that I've done that, because for me, it was just a long journey completing this game. So yeah, with all that rambling out of the way, let's go ahead and hit the options screen just to make sure everything's at their default settings. They should be. But yeah, like I was saying, this is going to be sort of a special Let's Play, because this is going to be, hopefully, crossing my fingers, me running through the game, crossing my fingers even harder without continues, and being able to beat the game pretty much on video, live, while talking to you guys. So it'll be really interesting, and it'll be actually the second time I've ever completed the game. Again, the first time was last night. So for those of you guys that have not played this game before, Batman Returns on the Sega CD is one of the many examples of Sega bringing an existing Genesis cartridge to the CD format. Now, unlike a lot of the CD-based, well, pre-cartridge games, like Echo the Dolphin, the first Echo, the only difference was the CD soundtrack. Nothing added, no full motion video, no weird special stages, no nothing. It was a very straight port. Batman Returns, though, is a little bit different. You have the platforming game, which was on cartridge. It was the original cartridge game, but you also have these brand new driving segments, and they basically make up the other half of the game. So what you had on cartridge was actually, to be honest with you, some kind of mediocre platforming. They really weren't that great. It was kind of clunky, like a lot of early Genesis platformers were, like Check-On and the original X-Men. Batman Returns really wasn't anything special, and you don't really hear people talk about it these days, not on Genesis anyway, and there's a good reason for that. It's just not a great platformer. It's tolerable, but it's just not, it's no Castlevania or anything like that, that's for sure. But But yeah, in the Sega CD version, they added in these driving stages, and you know what? I think that really makes this game. The driving segments in this game are awesome, except for the last one, and you'll see what I mean by that once we get there. In an hour and a half, because it'll be a while before we get there. But the driving segments are awesome in this game. They take advantage of the Sega CD's built-in scaling capabilities, and it really shows off kind of the power of the system and what the Sega CD was kind of capable of, you know, when added alongside your Sega Genesis. What's kind of cool though is in the options menu, if you don't like one, like if you don't like the platforming, you can just play the driving game, which is pretty sweet. Or if you don't like the driving, you suck at Outrun or games like that, because it is a little bit like that, you can play the platforming segments and experience the classic, well, not really classic, but the old Genesis game with the new remix CD soundtrack, which is the next best thing about this game. Phenomenal soundtrack. I think one of the best soundtracks from that time period, actually. It still holds up great. But what we're going to do is play the full game, and you got two difficulty settings. You get training and normal. I've actually never played it on training, so I'm not sure if it's just like super easy mode or if it's like literally like some training modes are in some games where you can only play like the first 3 levels or something and then it ends and you have to go to normal afterwards. So I'm not sure what it's like. We're not going to mess around with that. You've got controls here, which self-explanatory, and you've got lives as well. And we're going to leave it at the stock 5 lives. 5 lives is the default, and 3 lives, yeah, we're not going to put it down because 5 is the stock. I like playing on stock settings unless the stock settings are like easy mode. Then I crank it up to normal, or if it's like an arcade port, I'll put it up to the arcade difficulty. But we're going to leave it at 5 because that's the stock. And for anybody curious, if you want to know the level select code, well, you're going to have to go look it up on like GameFAQs or something, but you actually activate it on this screen here. I don't remember what the exact code is, so I'm not going to be able to show that to you, unfortunately. But yeah, you'll have to enter it onto this screen. It's a little interesting how it's input, so let's go ahead and hit start, and let's go ahead and get right into the game. And you know, I'm just going to jump in and just play the game. I'm not going to like stop for the most part and just explain every little nuance like I typically try to. I just want to get in and bolt through the game because I timed it last night. Even with skipping like all the little mini cutscenes like this right here, it took me pretty much an hour and a half flat, 90 minutes flat to beat the game. And that's with dying only a couple times. I didn't die that often. So yeah, I'm not going to try to sit and mosey around too often. And even that intro part where I was just talking was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but, you know, whatever. What's 100 minutes versus 90? It's not a huge difference by that point, but I still don't want it to stretch on to like 2.5 hours or something like that. That's just crazy long. So when you're driving, you just hold B to go. And in the driving segment, you can actually slam into enemies like so, and you actually do pretty good damage when you run into them. But your main focus of attack is pretty much these projectiles you shoot out, and you can do that by pressing and holding the A button. You can actually just hold down the A button, but it looks like it stops. It doesn't keep going if you just hold it down. I'm holding down the A button right now. So what you want to do is you just keep tapping the A button. And what I like to do is it's kind of like UN Squadron on the Super Nintendo and the arcade, or Area 88 for those outside of America, where you just kind of tap it, hold it, let go, tap, hold it, let go, tap, hold it, let go. And so what I do is I will push the button and hold it for maybe a second or two. So instead of like mashing the button like this, I'll just press it lightly. And I'll sort of just have a constant stream of bullets coming out, and that's basically how I like to play these driving segments. Now what I love to do is use a combination of firing as well as slamming into the enemies. And one thing that's really awesome about the driving segments is, not on this first level, but starting with level 2 of the driving segments, you can actually slam enemies off the track and they'll slam into like lampposts or overpasses and things like that. And you can basically just kill them in one hit. You slam them off the road and they explode onto whatever they run into. It's really cool. You know, this driving segment was put together really well. And there's some creative bosses. Each driving stage has a mini boss, which I just fought, and then it also has an end boss. And each of the end bosses actually really remind me of really well-designed Japanese games with kind of creative, goofy bosses. And but you know what's kind of funny is it was made by, I believe it was made by an American studio. So, and just that kind of creativity you didn't really see. Well, I just slammed him off the road, so this is a good example right there. That kind of creativity you didn't see that often in American developed games at the time. At least Genesis American developed games at the time. So the driving segments are just really, really well done. And the bosses are very creative. I like the bosses. I can't actually think of a single boss I do not like on the driving segment. They all have specific patterns. A lot of cases you have to be careful when you fight them. But they're creative as well. And you'll see what I mean, you know, the more we play and get through these driving segments. Each driving segment consists of 6 mini stages. And we're already at the 5th one on the first stage, so we're basically almost done with the very first driving segment. Now, when you first play this game, the driving segments are probably actually going to be a little tricky. But once you really get the hang of it, and you just really start controlling the game, controlling the flow of the game, it's a blast. I mean, you can just see an enemy and just say you're going down, and you just wreck everybody. It's great. It's a great feeling once you really get in control of the game. Now this boss right here, most bosses in this game require you to just shoot them or punch them or whatever, but this boss is a little bit different. You have to run up and basically knock these little clown guys off their ladders. So there's 6 of them you have to knock off, and I've already gotten 5, so I've got 1 more. And that's it. Boss is done, basically. Now that's actually a boss that's a little tricky at first because you have a time limit and you only have like 50 seconds, 40 or 50 seconds to beat him. And you have to be careful because if you get hit by his fire, for some reason the Batmobile doesn't like fire. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but from a gameplay perspective it works. Fire is bad in this game and you will die really quickly. So what you have to do is you try to knock him off without getting hit by the fire and taking damage there. And it's actually a pretty tricky boss if you've never played it before. So, and that's how a lot of the bosses are in this game. You are probably going to die a lot when you play this game, and especially in the driving stages. Well, actually, pretty much both of the segments are pretty difficult, especially the platforming segments. When you get towards the end of the game, I think that there's a huge difficulty spike on the platforming segments, unfortunately. And I think it's actually kind of a bad design to an extent because you get limited continues in this game. And with the driving stages combined, I mean, like I said, it'll take you an hour and a half to beat the game. But, you know, if you get to the final boss after playing for an hour and a half and you die and you game over and you've gamed over multiple times, well, that's it. You're back to the title screen. It's really frustrating. But when you do know exactly what to do, it can be fun. It can still be fun despite some of its design flaws. So, as you can see, we're in the platforming segment now, and I'm just kind of bolting through it. And there's quite a few things you can do in the platforming segments. You can punch. And what's actually kind of interesting is if you mash the punch, you'll actually punch pretty quickly. Likewise with the kick. But if you don't time it just right, it'll just kind of stutter and you won't punch as fast. It's a little weird. It's hard to explain, but once you get your hands on the controls, you'll kind of understand what I mean. One of the big problems with the platforming segments is that it's extremely stiff. Very stiff controls in this game, which was actually kind of the standard for some of these earlier Genesis, especially the American developed platformers. But X-Men was the exact same way, extremely stiff. The first one anyway. Part 2 was actually pretty smooth. But yeah, Batman Returns is extremely stiff. But what I wanted to explain before going off on a tangent, was sort of the power-up system, so you can kind of understand what I'm doing. Pressing the A button will use whatever item you see in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Now, right now, I got the basic, I guess it's the batarang or something like that. And it's actually pretty powerful. It's more powerful than your punches or kicks. So, in the very beginning of the game, most enemies will die in one hit from one of these. And this is the most frequent pickup you will get as far as your special items. So there will be a part later on in the game where I might have 60, 70, or 80, maybe even 90 batarangs in my arsenal. So definitely make use of them, but also try to save them if you can. On most enemies, I try to just punch or kick them. And I usually just try to punch or kick the enemies. But in this first segment, I might actually just use them because this is where the enemies are dying in one hit with the batarangs. Starting with the second or third platformer segment, just in this first platformer level, the enemies start taking more hits actually. So at that point, I don't use the batarang as much. I just try to kick them because it's going to take more batarang hits, which is going to make me thus lose the batarangs, which I can be using for you know, maybe long-range enemies, or be using them at bosses or something like that, where I can sort of sit back from a distance where I'm a little bit safer. But yeah, where I was actually going with that was that you have a variety of power-ups. If you press the start button, you bring up your belt, and you pretty much start with every weapon in the game. The ones on the far right are like bigger, beefier versions of your batarang, and they're homing, and they do a lot of damage. Actually, pretty much all of these down here, except for your small batarangs, they deal a ton of damage, and what you really want to do is save them for the bosses. Do not use them on regular enemies, except for maybe later on in the game where, like these ones, these are like smoke bombs, right? They'll hit an enemy and the enemy will be stunned, and then that lets you kill the enemy in one hit. They'll be stunned, you can just punch them, they'll die in one hit. Even if they take more than one hit normally, you use the smoke bomb and you'll kill them in one hit. Aside from that, by the end of the game, I'll probably have 30 or 40 of those things, so I can be a little more liberal with them. I don't really use this weapon on the bosses. But these ones down here, save them for your bosses, and you'll see exactly why I'm telling you that once we get to the later parts in the game. The later parts of the game are actually really, really tricky, and especially the bosses. So a good way to kill the bosses really fast is to save those items. Alright, one last thing before I continue on is if you jump and press the A button, you can actually float in the air. However, if you look next to my main power-up in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a bunch of like blocks and lines and so forth. Whenever I float down, the column with the thinner lines ticks down. And basically what happens is once I float enough and it's completely empty, I cannot float anymore. Now, I really don't know why they decided to do that, because some other things like this, where you can latch on the walls, there is no limit to this. And if you actually, by pressing up and jump, you'll unleash it. And then by pressing jump again, you'll actually... Hold on. There we go. You can actually sit on it, go up and down. Oops. It's a little tricky to do sometimes just correctly. The problem is on this platform I can jump above it, and it's making it harder to just sit and swing. So you can do stuff like this, get to a higher spot if you want. Pretty useful stuff. But that's unlimited, which is kind of weird, because if I can't do this forever, it's like, why can't I do this forever? It doesn't really make any sense. So, but whatever. Just be careful when you're using the floating function. It is limited, and you definitely don't want to be at, say, the last level and run out of it. So use it sparingly. There's actually a lot of parts in this game where you don't have to float. I mean, floating is just kind of an option. Levels in this game are usually multi-screen, so, I mean, even if you fall, if you don't make a jump just right, chances are there's going to be a platform below you until the very late parts of the game. So, alright, we're at our first boss here. We're technically the second because of the driving segment, but if this was the cartridge, this would technically be the first boss. And it's Catwoman, When you hit her and she blinks, you cannot hit her again. So this is one of those games where you punch them once, wait for them to stop blinking, and then attack them again. If I try to just attack her when she's blinking, does not work. So, something to be aware of. And this is pretty basic stuff here. You hit her once, you jump up to another platform. She'll either follow you or do a little dash above like that. Very simple stuff. The game, it kind of eases you in difficulty-wise, which is actually kind of nice. This whole first world I'm in isn't really that difficult. I don't think the difficulty really starts spiking until the second world that you're in. There's actually only 5 acts in the game from the platforming perspective. So the difficulty actually ramps up pretty quickly, but this first act really isn't that bad when you know what you're doing. Now in this segment you want to use your batarang because there are going to be these little clown guys on these trikes, and you can actually kill them in one hit, which is actually good because they actually run at you pretty quickly. So, and there's at least 2 or 3 of them on each floor I fall down onto. So there's going to be one right here, and they shoot. Just like so. It's one of those things where you can take your time. See, there's another one. Got him. There are also these steam things coming out of the walls, or I'm sorry, the floors. And what happens is, if you watch it, it'll come up twice, and then it'll come up 3 times. And then it'll come up twice, and then it'll come up 3 times. See, that's twice, and then 1, 2, 3. 1, 2... 1, 2, 3. And you time it like that. That's how you can get around them without getting hit. So that was twice. 1, 2. No, that was twice. 1, 2, 3. And then just jump over it. Time it. There are a lot of things in this game. Well, actually, let me go back a step. Batman Returns is a very pattern-oriented game. As a lot of classic platformers were from the 8-bit and 16-bit generation. This one especially is a very pattern-oriented game. And, yeah, very pattern-oriented. So, just watch, just kind of watch what everything does, how it moves, and so forth. And, you know, through practice, you'll be able to get through this game without too much problem. Now, one thing I actually wanted to note is that I'm going to actually be getting to a boss screen here in just a few moments. Is bosses sometimes you have to change screens to actually get to the boss. And what I mean by that is, like, the screen will fade out, it'll fade to black, and then fade back in, and you'll be at the boss screen. When that happens, your life actually gets refreshed all the way, and it's something to keep in mind. There are some bosses, though, like Catwoman, on that last stage. If the screen doesn't switch, and you just kind of move into a boss fight on the same area, your life does not refill. But you can actually use that to your advantage. Like, I could have played really recklessly up there, and like those spikes up top, I was getting hurt. It didn't really matter if my life got that low, because once I fall down here, my life is actually, it's full now. And my life is on the bottom of the screen. It's the the row of white blocks. And the red block row is the boss's health bar. And these guys here, you basically just attack their faces, and that's how you do damage to them. They shoot out these fireballs, and then when they crank their cranks, that's when the gears come out. So wait for them to crank. You can just sit down, and you will be able to avoid the gears that are flying out. So that's it. That's that boss. There's a lot of bosses in this game, lots of mini bosses. And one other thing I wanted to mention is that always jump around. There's a lot of hidden items. For instance, behind this column you see on the right, there's actually a special item there. That was an extra life. My lives are in the center, bottom center on that bar down there. There's going to be another item up here if I jump. And it's more mini batarang. So I have 57 now. 56, 55. So, hope I'm doing a good job of explaining this game. So if you have trouble with this game, there are some nuances you can learn that can actually assist you and make your life a little bit easier as you're playing the game. Like, if you know that the next boss fight is going to be at a completely separate screen, where you go through a door, the screen fades out and it fades back in, you know that your life is going to be refilled. So you don't have to panic, you don't have to say, oh man, this is stressful. You just say to yourself, hey, oh, my life is going to refill, no big deal. So, some bosses are actually easier because of that. And, the penguin, actually, the penguin has two forms. In his first form, it's that sort of situation. You go through a screen, the screen fades out, so when you go fight him, your life is full again, without you having to find any heart pieces or anything like that that actually refill your life. So really good stuff to know if you're trying to survive in this game. And really, this game, if you don't know this game inside and out, you're gonna need all the help you can get. So trust me, this is a tough game, and very tough game. More power-ups. Power-ups are always good. There's a lot of power-ups in this game, and again, if you don't use them, you can save them for the more difficult sections of the game, which is actually what I really prefer to do, or save them for the bosses. The boss is what I really use them on, and I have specific items I like to use on specific bosses, and I'll sort of explain that as I get to the bosses. And on each stage, you have a pretty straightforward path, but if you veer off a little bit, like I just did right here, you find extra hidden items and things like that, extra lives. And on this one, there's an extra life over there to your right. So now I'm up to 7 lives. You have to watch out for these gargoyles that are jumping down at you. I'm not really too worried about getting hit by them. Oh, I missed that power-up. Not too worried about getting hit by them, because, I don't know, I'm not going to get hit that much, and my life is still, you know, it's 80% full right now, so I'm not too worried about taking some damage. Now, what you could do is, if you were having a hard part, or if you got to this part and you had no life... Oh, that wasn't supposed to happen. This platform was only supposed to come down after destroying those two gargoyle statues. So, strange how that happened. I've never seen that before. So here we go. This is the first penguin fight, and basically the penguin is always the main boss of each act. You basically have to fight him 5 times, or technically 6, because his fighting him on the last stage, there's 2 totally different forms, and you'll see what I mean by that once we get to the end of the game. Which I have a good feeling we will do. I have a good feeling we will beat this game again, because it's very fresh in my mind. I mean, I ran through it last night without continuing after I had practiced the final boss several times. Yeah, so I have a good feeling we'll end up doing that. So now we're on the driving section number 2. And if it wasn't for these driving sections, we would actually be able to beat this game in about a half an hour or so. The driving sections are... Especially the last driving section is a little bit longer than the platforming segments, and it basically doubles the size of the game. So I mean, if you're a fan of the Sega Genesis game, you really got to check this one out, because it basically doubles the game. It's makes for a longer experience. Unfortunately, I don't think some people would really be able to appreciate that length until they actually get really familiar with the game and get good at it, because this game can be infuriating. It can be extremely frustrating. I mean, it's just like I said at the very beginning of the video, it's been 17 or 18 years since I've been playing this game for the very first time, and I just now, as sad as it is to say, a 31-year-old adult have finally beaten it. It's taken me that long to beat this game, and and that's a real testament to its difficulty. It's not an easy game without constant practice over and over and over again. If you really want to try to beat the game and not go through as much hell as I did over the years, find out what the stage select code is and just practice each stage. And do it over and over again. Play each level like 10 times, 20 times if you have to, until you can get to the point where you can beat each level with maybe only dying once or twice. And once you can do that, you'll be able to run through this game, and you'll be able to beat this game. And you know what's funny? I actually didn't know there was a cheat code for this game until last night. I was like, you know what? I'm beating this game. I'm gonna go see if there are any cheats. Because there's no way in hell I'm playing for an hour and a half just to get back to Penguin and die again. Because you die pretty quickly, so it's hard to experiment and mess around. And even if you get a game over, you have to go through his entire stage all over again. You don't just spawn at the boss fight. It's a nuisance. So if you want to try to beat this game without, you know, going through the pain I did over the years, get that level select code, take advantage of it, and yeah, beat this game. Now, I didn't explain on my first driving segment, but you do have these homing missiles, and they do pretty good damage. I like to save them for the bosses like this. Like, the guy's pretty much just about dead, and I can just use the homing missiles to pretty much deliver the finishing blows. Now, certain bosses, the homing missiles are useless against. Like, on the second boss, or the main boss of the first driving segment, or driving stage, I'm sorry, the homing missiles are useless because you actually have to ram the little clowns on the ladders in order to knock them off. You can't shoot them off. You have to basically slam into them with your car, which is really fun. It's really creative. I like that. But there's also another boss, the main boss of the third driving segment. You have to slam into him as well to deal damage. You can't just shoot him. So the homing missiles are pretty much useless there, but I like to save them for the bosses that they can be used on. Like that last mini-boss I just fought and defeated. So this is a level where you can really just start slamming into enemies. You see how they basically purposely drive along the edge of the track? Oh, that was bad. I completely just slammed into it myself. That was not good. But you can basically slam them off the track. I just slammed one off the track. Although I'm gonna have to be a little careful now because my my health is running low. You do get a little bit of health back after successfully completing a segment, but you only get 5 blocks back of your health. You don't get your full bar back. So it's something to be aware of. Alright, screw it. I'm gonna use these missiles because I only have 5 seconds to kill these guys. That's the other thing, you have a limited amount of time, so I was at 4 seconds left, and then you basically lose a life, you have to start over. So, in those segments I also will use my homing missiles, because, you know, you can basically wipe those last couple of enemies off the screen a little bit quicker. Sometimes you can't, sometimes you don't have the opportunity to just run an enemy off the track. So, in those instances, you have to pummel them with your firepower. Like these guys, slamming them doesn't really do a whole lot. It deals a little bit of damage, but these guys especially, they actually have flamethrowers. And as I said on that first boss, fire is really bad in this game. And fire will kill you really, really fast. So these little red cars, you wanna watch out. And what I like to do against the red cars is stay back from a distance sometimes. Sometimes I'll do a quick bump like that, but then they're gonna start shooting their flamethrower out just like that. And you want to stay back from a distance so you don't run over that fire. So give them a good nudge and then just sort of huddle back a little bit. And the little motorcycle guys, starting on level 2, they start shooting out these missiles behind them. So you can't just run up behind them, otherwise you're basically going to eat a big fat missile, which takes away a nice little chunk of health. So, and again, slamming into them does good damage, so give them a good nudge while you're firing your bullets, and you'll really take their life down quick. God, the driving segments in this game, they feel so good, being able to just slam into the enemies, not take damage yourself. Now, this is another example of a pretty creative boss. This guy, he shoots out these massive cannonballs, and if you get hit by them, they literally take away like a third of your health. But he also shoots out these little cars, and they will just huddle next to you. They'll be on the same plane as you. Ooh, I got hit by one. That was like 3 pellets of health. And they'll shoot little pellets at you. And if you keep just trying to speed up, zoom past them, they'll speed up right with you and you'll get hit guaranteed. So what you basically have to do is... oh, that's bad. I got hit by another cannonball. You have to slow down purposely so you don't... otherwise you're going to get hit by these little clown guys that he's shooting out. So I got his health down a little bit. Not as much as I'd like. He's a very tricky boss. You have to be a little aggressive with him. And get out of the way once he starts shooting his cannon. So we got 14 seconds to get 3 more pellets off of him. But the thing is, if you slow down, he speeds up, and you've got to catch back up with him. Got him. Oh, right at the last second. And if you notice the timer, it actually gets bigger. The Sega CD has some really awesome built-in scaling, which you can see with just everything zooming by on the driving segment. But even the timer gets bigger. It scales up. And so once it gets to 0 is like a third of the size of the screen. It's pretty cool how they did that. Nice little attention to detail in the driving segments. I mean, like I said, the driving segments were put together really, really well. Alright, so this part of the game is basically just going to consist of these motorcycle guys, and you can actually just use the batarangs if you want. You kill them in one hit. However, there are some of these guys that'll actually shoot at you, and the ones that shoot at you, I recommend using your kick. You can actually punch and kick bullets in this game. And is the next one going to be a bullet guy? Yeah. Just like that. You can punch and kick bullets so you don't get hurt by them. Oops. Of course I get hurt by the easiest guy to kill. You just have to react pretty quickly, that's all. So, there you go. Just like that. And there's some life. Now this guy is, he throws stuff down at you, and how I used to actually fight him back in the day was I would get up top, throw a couple projectiles, and then get back down. And he'll actually take away a lot of life really quick if he punches you. But what I like to do now is take these homing shots, and each one is a pellet or 2 off of his health. And I just sit down here on the bottom. Like so. He's dead. And I still have 3 left, which I'll get more as I progress through the game. So that boss fight was made really easy by saving my my power-ups, basically. So that's why I said hold on to your powerful power-ups, because you're going to need them. It'll make life a lot easier at bosses. Now, a lot of the enemies in this game have simple patterns, like this chick right here. She throws a knife. So duck, move forward, like so. And then punch or kick her. These guys are a little bit more tricky. You have to hit them as they're winding up. Like so. And your timing's got to be right, otherwise you're going to get hit. It's tough. So... Oops. There's going to be these guys up here that throw these little balls down, and they actually do a lot of damage. And there's going to be a couple of those guys on this stage. Watch out for this fire here. That fire will actually hurt you if you touch it. Some of it won't, but it's the ones that are on the floor that'll actually hurt you. Oh. And the music in this game is so good. It's very moody, especially on this area. And this music was actually done by Spencer Nilsson, and he did quite a few other Sega CD soundtracks, including the awesome Echo the Dolphin soundtrack, the first one. I don't think he did the second one. Yeah, very good symphonic type stuff. He also would throw in some guitars here and there. It's really excellent music, and you know, considering it's 1993, it still sounds pretty good too, for the kind of music it is. It's holds up really well, and it's things like that, the awesome soundtrack, that really made the Sega CD really worth trying. And even though some games like this, or Echo more specifically, only had enhanced CD soundtracks over the original cartridge versions, that CD soundtrack was so good it made a huge, huge difference. Especially in the case of Echo the Dolphin. So... Alright, nothing else up here. We're almost at the boss. Oops. I took my hand off the controller. Oops. Alright. So, just, you know, simple patterns. But this is a game where you have to be real disciplined, otherwise you are going to get hurt, and it's not going to feel good. Because you're going to die, and then you're going to game over, and then you're going to throw the controller through the TV like angry people do when they lose at hard video games. Like me. Oops. Alright, well this is actually kind of bad. I only have 2 pellets of health, but what I like to do is use this weapon here on Catwoman, because there's actually really... Ooh, that was bad. There's really nowhere to go. You can't do that simple dodge like I did on the... Oops. Like I did on the first stage, where you hit her, then jump down or jump up, and then hit her again, then jump down or jump up. You can't do that here. So I always save those big bats for that boss fight in particular. Now this part... Oh, that was close. I'm glad I got that. That was an extra life. This part, you just want to jump your way down. If you get hit by that big falling thing, you die in 1 hit. So, and this is going to be a pit. There's always that pit there where it falls through. And on this part, I could just try to punch the penguin because I have full health. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to try to punch the penguin. No sense in trying to use my extra items if my health is pretty much full. And the penguin's usually not very difficult until the very end of the game. Act 5 is where the penguin's actually pretty tough, pretty tricky. There we go. And now, third driving stage, and this is where the driving stage starts becoming a little more difficult. I mean, pretty much all of them will be difficult if you never played the game before, but for someone like me, this is where things start becoming a little more risky for the driving levels. And actually, there's only one more set of driving stages after this, but it's different, and you'll see what I mean once we get there. Oh, sorry about that. City 3. Sorry, Act 3, City Limits. Uh-oh, I might have another sneeze coming on. That's not good. Not good for this level. I might have to pause it for a quick second. Oh, I got hit by his missile. Now, this game controls a little bit like Outrun. So if you're used to that, you should be able to pick up on the game a little bit. However, you do slide a little bit. But when you slide, the angle of your shot changes. So that's something to keep in mind when you're trying to control the game and aim towards enemies. Now, unfortunately, there are no analog controls or anything, but how this game handles just adjusting your aim actually works pretty well. You just keep tapping left or keep tapping right to slightly aim in the left or right, depending on which way you're trying to hit. So it's not too hard to do that. I was able to catch on that pretty quickly back in the day, and it feels like second nature to me now. And to me, it feels pretty good. I like how the game feels aim-wise when you're in the driving segment. It's good stuff. But yeah, as you're sliding around corners, you can use that to your advantage when you're trying to aim at guys. Let's see if I can slam these guys. Oh, God! Did the same thing as I did on the second driving level. Slammed myself off the road instead of them. Fortunately, it doesn't do a ton of damage, but yeah, you've got to be accurate when trying to run into these guys. You really got to speed up next to them, otherwise you're not going to be able to do it. Like right here. Got him. One hit kill. And you do have to slow down like in racing games, otherwise you'll go off the track. I keep saying track like it's a racing game. You go off the road and you'll run into an object on the side and you'll take a little bit of damage, so you really want to save the amount of damage you take for the enemies. You know, like if you mess up and you get hit by one of their Molotov cocktails or something like that. You'd rather get hit by that than lose half your health by running into the little steel objects on the side of the road. So, that's just stupid. Don't do that. I'm trying to get up and knock these guys off the road, but it doesn't really matter that much. If you can kill all the enemies without the time running out, that's what counts. Oh, I didn't kill him in one hit. Actually, I'm going to use the homing missiles now. Should save it for the mini-boss, actually, but my life is getting low. Now this guy basically tosses out explosive canisters, and if you touch them they deal a ton of damage, so you have to just let them fall out, hit the brakes, which is basically the down button in this game. You hold down to brake. So you can brake, speed up, brake, speed up, brake, speed up. The problem is the road is constantly shifting up and down as well, and your bullets will actually go aim up or down depending on how the road is shifted, so you have to keep that in mind as well. If he's high but I'm still pointed low, I'm not going to hit him. I have to be on even track to actually hit him. Like right now, I've got a few shots on him that time. So again, some really nice attention to detail in the driving segments. It's actually kind of realistic in that regard. So, but I think I'll be fine here. I've got 20 seconds to basically. Ooh, that was bad. Well, we'll see. Got him. Whew. That was close. Let's readjust these headphones. I had one cup on one ear and then half a cup on the other ear. So I was hearing things in stereo, but now one cup actually slipped off when I sneezed, so I was only hearing things in one ear. Alright, let's slow down, not get hit by his flames. Now I feel another sneeze coming on. Yeah, just brake, because I mean you've got projectiles as your main attack function in this game, so once he starts shooting at this flame, just shoot him from distance. Now these guys with the explosive cocktails they shoot out, they're a lot easier to avoid, so never too worried about those guys, but these flamethrower dudes, they're a little bit more tricky. See, slow down, just like so. Use your projectiles. Although it's really nice getting up close and actually hitting them with your car, because that's extra damage and you kill the enemies faster. And if you're playing for score, which I never really did before until last night, because I didn't continue. I've gotten the largest score I've ever gotten before. If you beat the levels faster, you actually get more points. You know, you get the stage bonuses and whatnot, so if you like to play for score, that's good too. Although, if you're playing for score, running into things like these barriers, they actually give you 100 points per pop. So, I mean, maybe the time, beating the levels fast, getting the time bonus doesn't really do that much good, because you can just kind of milk the barriers instead for 100 points a hit. So I'm not sure. I haven't really tried messing around with scoring fast in this game, but the option's there if you're that kind of person. And like I said, with the hills and such in this game, you need to be thinking about where your bullets are going to go when you go to shoot enemies, because again, if they're at the peak of a hill but you haven't even hit the hill yet, your bullets aren't going to hit them, because they're basically just going to run straight into the hill. They're not going to follow up the hill or anything like that. The game is actually, it's a little realistic in that regard, which is pretty cool. Again, like I said, nice attention to detail. So what you want to do is wait until you're aimed down with your car, then start firing. Otherwise, your bullets aren't going to really do anything, so there's no point in firing. Just save your bullets for when you're actually aimed properly, so you can actually hit the enemies you're going for. Like now, I'm on flat surface along with the enemy, but he's on a hill, so my bullets aren't going to hit him. So you really gotta keep an eye out for how the enemies are basically where they are on the road. So, haha, that was a nice little slam. All right, small guy, let's run into him. I slammed into him and shot him with a few bullets. So. Alright, boss fight. Now this is the boss I was mentioning where you have to slam into him. He's got this little sign that pops up. And every time you hit it, he's got like this little thing up top that spins around and makes a funny sound. You have to be careful though, not get hit by these ice blocks. He drops out. They actually do a lot of damage. What I like to do is actually get up close to him and sort of try to keep up the speed with him. That way, once the sign comes out, I'm there ready to hit it, like so. Very aggressive about it. But you have to be careful, because once there's a lot of ice blocks coming out, don't go for it. You're probably going to get hit by the ice block before you even touch the sign, just like that. So you don't want to get hit too far back, like so, because then it's harder to get back up. You got to dodge more ice blocks. Pretty tricky little boss. I remember dying at this guy a lot when I was younger. Now it's not too bad for me. Oh, almost. 2 more hits, that's it. Got him. 1 more hit. Got it. Alright, this is Act 3. Now this is where things really start picking up from a difficulty standpoint on the platforming segments, but I should be able to bolt through this pretty quickly because this was actually one of those stages I had to play a lot the other night when I first bought the game again, and I spent a couple hours playing this game. This is one of those stages I had to play a lot. I had to continue a lot, so I'm pretty sure I've got it down now, so I shouldn't have too many problems here. I'm not going to even bother explaining these enemies. It should be pretty self-explanatory when you see what I do. Again, this game is very pattern-based, so you just need to follow the patterns. Oops, and I'm being real stupid when I'm playing. When you're moving, you actually move a little bit quicker if you jump, so what you'll see me doing is actually jumping instead of walking. But you really don't want to jump if you don't know what's coming up, so I kind of do know what's coming up, so I'm not too worried about it. I just jump to my heart's content and move along the stage a little bit quicker. Now there's going to actually be a heart piece up here, so you can refill your health right here. So I've almost got full health again. I may actually get back up to the top because there's an extra life up here. Now these little guys inside that cage, what happens is they shoot these fireballs at 2 levels. One goes high and it goes over you, and the other goes low and you have to jump over it. And they always do it in the same pattern. They always shoot the high one first if you're at a distance, and then they shoot the low one. So what happens is you want to just kind of walk under the high one and then do a low ducking kick. By the time you do that, once you start hitting them, they won't throw another fireball at you. They'll sort of shrink into their hat and go across the screen, but when they're doing that, and you can just attack them, you kill them in 3 or 4 hits. So that's what you'll see me doing when I get to them. Just like so. When you get close, they get shrink down. So if you're going for score, enemies are good because they give you lots of points. I mean, it's looking like 500 points a pop for each enemy, so... Now, there's actually some items down here. I'm going to go ahead and get them. You have to be careful, because that's an endless pit down here, and you will die. But again, kind of like Castlevania 4 or Castlevania Bloodlines, you can hang on to certain walls or items or ledges. In Castlevania Bloodlines, you can hang on to walls or ceilings. In Castlevania 4, you had to have special hooks. But in this game, you can just swing along. But it's tough. It's not as easy as it is in the other games because it takes about half a second for your hook to come out all the way. And it won't latch sometimes if, say, you get too far down. So instances like that where you have an endless pit, but there's power-ups and you want to grab them, well, I usually avoid them. It's not worth losing my lives to get a couple weapon power-ups because by this point in the game, I'm already... Like, how many of these things do I have? I have 20 of the smoke bombs. I have 9 of the big bats. 15 of these rope things. They do a ton of damage. And then 9 of the homing shot. So I've got a lot of really powerful items to use. And I'm going to have even more once I get to the final stage in the game. So, I mean, just save them. Use your fists, just like I am right here. I'm going to use my fist right here. And there's a power-up right there. Some homing shots. Yep, I got 2 just from that. So now I'm up to 10 homing shots. Here are some more smoke bombs. So it's like, you know, save them. You'll build them up pretty quickly. Now we're actually getting close to... Well, actually, we're probably at about the halfway point of this whole act. There's going to be a mini-boss after this whole section is said and done with. This is a pretty easy section. I like to just get down and hit these guys with my foot. If you stand up, you'll actually get hit by their little missiles or bombs they drop out. So just duck, sit in front of them, you'll be fine. And it's funny, their voices actually change pitch. And this part, these blocks occasionally have these punching things that come out. You can actually punch the faces. And now they won't punch at you anymore. Although you don't get any points for that, which is kind of interesting. Bye here, guys, again. Yeehaw. Now, these things up here, you actually don't want to walk on the top. You always want to stay on the bottom. Because they explode. Just like that. See? And I think it's only the bottom, too, that explodes. So, yeah, don't walk on the top. Just walk on the bottom. Oops, I should have used my foot. Because again, you can basically punch and kick bullets out of existence. You just have to kind of be prepared for it. Which that's actually something I'm still not quite used to doing, kicking the bullets. I usually end up getting hit by the bullets, but you can actually, you know, punch them away. Now there's going to be a chick here that shoots a big flame at me, and... There's an example of the smoke bomb. Kill her in 1 hit. Normally it takes like 2 or 3 hits. I'm gonna switch back to the Batarang. And I'm just gonna try to stay on the top here. Whoa! Thought that was the end. I always get that part confused. This should be the end. Yeah. Alright, boss fight. And what I'm gonna do is actually use this. And just sit down here. Got him. Now the next boss, I actually like to use this one, the rope. And you'll see why once I get there. And these chicks, they do high and low attacks. On their high attacks, you can just sit down and do that. Basically, just do the ducking kick. So you want to wait for them to lunge, though, when they do that. Because if you duck too early, they will actually do a mid attack or a low attack and you'll get hurt. I'm still getting hurt anyway, I'm not timing it right, but... This part, these blocks actually come up, so you want to jump over them. Otherwise you get hits, and I think they pummel you back too. And if you fall between the trains, they actually... it's an endless pit, you'll die. So don't do that. There's gonna be some razor blades here. Can you tell I've been playing this game? It's like I can tell you exactly what's come up. I've been playing this game so much the last few days. So, I'm timing that completely wrong. See, she did a mid attack that time. More blades. Saw blades. Just time your jump. There we go. Finally got one where I didn't get hit. Whoa. Kill that guy from a distance. What the hell, we'll kill her from a distance too. Man, I'm just not playing well now. What's happening? You can actually aim your batarangs up, which is cool. So you can use that to your advantage sometimes. Alright, this is the boss. And at the boss, I'm going to actually jump over him because there's going to be a heart. And I'm going to get over him to refill my health first. Oh, I missed it. Was that my first death? Alright, screw it. Just kill him. He actually causes the top of the cart to catch on fire, and the fire actually does some good damage. So, but with the rope attack, it's you can take him down really fast, just like you saw. Now, this is the part where the driving sections actually kind of start to suck. When I first got to this back in the day, I pretty much wanted to take the disc out and smash it in half because it just felt like overkill. And now, for the rest of this whole driving segment, I'm actually not going to talk. I'm going to need the focus, and you're going to see why. And you're probably going to see why I was kind of angry at it when I first got to it, just because it's so long and difficult. And yeah, so I'm going to shut up now, and I will start talking once I'm done with this segment. Alright guys, that's it. Now we're at the boss. Sorry for that silence, but I mean, as you can see, that place was pretty crazy. And I definitely needed my complete undivided attention. Now this boss isn't so bad. It's basically this floating skull. He's got a target that comes out of his mouth, and when his mouth is closed, you can't hit him. But his eyeballs actually shoot. And they basically act the same way as the flames do from the flamethrower guys earlier on in the game. But what'll happen is they'll actually aim at you. So wherever you are on the screen, that's where they're going to shoot. And you can actually kind of use that to your advantage to sort of position yourself to hit him when his mouth is open. And after you do a certain amount of damage, one of his eyes will actually get completely destroyed, which makes the last part a little bit easier. So there we go, one eye's gone. Ha! Both eyes are gone. That's funny. I didn't know both eyes actually flamed up like that. Whew! Man, that was, that whole last driving segment is just one huge endurance battle. And aside from having trouble at the stage 5 of it, that was actually probably my best run on that level ever. I had a really good run. I was blazing through those sections. So that actually felt pretty good, but I really don't think that segment should have been in the game. It shouldn't have been a main part of the game because it's tough. When I first got there, it kicked my ass, and you know, you game over, you gotta play another hour just to get back there to try it again. It's frustrating. Not very good design when it comes to flow of a game. Maybe if the game gave you unlimited continues, that would be a little bit different, but the problem is this game doesn't, so yeah. But just watching that segment, you should probably have been able to tell why I needed to not talk when I was playing it. It was tough, so we're basically at Act 4, and then after that it's Act 5. No more driving segments. That was actually the last driving segment we were just at. So we don't have to do any more of that. Now I've basically got almost 99 batarangs, so I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of them some more since I've got them. And I've got a lot of them, so I might as well use them. There's a heart piece down there, I definitely want to get that. So I mean, like these guys, I don't even want to mess around with them right now. Just use the batarang, make my life easier. Plenty of batarangs to go around. Like this guy, I can just shoot him from a distance. Basically, those old guys that have those little turrets, they shoot 4 bullets and then they start up again. So just wait for them to fire. Don't fall down that hole, that will kill you. There's actually one secret hole you can fall down. It's got an extra life and some power-ups. Oh, we're at the boss already. Okay. Alright, this boss, how many of these do I have? 6? See, I don't think I really even use those at all for the rest of the game. Well, actually, I don't know. I'm gonna try this, because, yeah, I'm gonna try this. This guy, basically puts flames in the ground, whichever one you're walking on. Like so. Oh, well, that missed. Big time. Oh, come on. Don't be like that. Oh, yeah, that's not good for him. Because it only takes away 1 pellet. So I'm gonna use this. Yeah, that's doing good damage. You got a little heart piece up here, so take advantage of that. And I am actually going to take advantage of it. There we go. Bit of a tricky boss. Switch back to the battering. Kick, kick, kick. And then pummel him. So 4 bullets and then... Oops, that was bad. But basically they shoot 4 times, then you can go ahead and attack them. And this green stuff hurts you, so it's bad. Yep, that's the secret right here. So, along both walls, the left and right wall, there's power-ups. And you'll just fall infinitely until you land on the platform below. And then exit. But I don't want to exit because there's an extra life down here. I'm gonna wait for this thing to go again. Is it going to? I guess not. Extra life, more power-ups, more power-ups, more power-ups. There we go. So we've got 10 of those, 39 of these. I will definitely be using those. 4 of those, and then 8 of those. So I'm still doing pretty good. Having 10 of these is good because at the Joker, not the Joker. Yeah, not the Joker. He's not in this game or the movie. At the Penguin, I use this on his first form. And then I use the Batarang on his second form. So, and you'll see why once we get there. So, the other ones I'm not too worried about. This part's a little tricky. You cannot jump up here, and then that's acid stuff, so you don't want to fall in that. But you can get up here and just sort of hang. Oops, not like that. It's a little tricky. Okay, really tricky actually. Oh, screw it. Fucking whatever. Alright, I get the point already. Were clowns a really big part of Batman Returns? I remember there being a few clowns, but I don't remember everybody being clowns. I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't seen that movie in, God, it's 6 or 7 years. It's been a while since I've seen it. Even the last time I was watching the movie, I pretty much fell asleep halfway through. So I don't remember it as well as I should. So if you know, post a comment below. Alright, we're at the boss. Oh yeah, this is gonna refill my health, because, yeah, that's what happens when you go to a different screen. So there, full health again. That's funny, because I was looking for a heart piece. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, that was bad. Alright, I'm gonna use some power-ups. Screw that. Alright, now we're at the final stage. I should be able to roll through this level pretty quickly. Because I practiced it like crazy last night. I really wanted to be able to beat the game. Even though it was frustrating me as I was playing it, I was like, this is such terrible level design. I forced my way through and I got used to it and I was able to beat it, so I should be able to roll through this without a problem. Even if I do have a problem, I have 8 lives, so... but you can die quickly here. That's an endless pit right there. So it looks like it should probably go down, but it doesn't. So same right here. Endless pit if you miss these jumps. So you do have to be really careful in this level. And it helps to really know what's coming up. But this weapon also comes in handy on this stage. Like so. Punch him, kill him in one hit. Now I'm going to try to tell you how to get through this stage as quickly as you can. I like to come down here, because there are some power-ups. If you break this wall, like so, jump through these. Oh god, I missed it. Now when I first played this level, I thought you had to hook onto this thing right here and jump up here. And it's actually pretty tricky to do that. Your timing has to be perfect. And if you stand on these blocks right here, they flip upside down. The ice blocks, or I'm sorry, the icicles basically hurt you. So you don't want to sit on them for too long. But what I would do is I would sit on it and try to hook up here like this. And you do it too often, this thing's going to flip upside down. See, I'm having a hard time doing it. But I found out that if you just get down here, you can hold up and zoom your way up. It's not that obvious though, because it's you don't really notice that top one, you know, when you're bouncing around like this, because most of the time it's outside the screen. But yeah, sit down here, hold up, use your jump button, and there you go. Now for some reason, sometimes when you pick up certain power-ups, it switches automatically for you, and didn't always do that on other stages, but on this stage it does for some reason. And you have to be careful, because you're gonna walk around and you're gonna think you're using your smoke bomb, but in actuality it's your grapple thing. And you don't want to waste that because it's really powerful. So I'm going to switch back to the smoke bomb. Use the smoke bomb. Just like so. Kill the guys in one hit. Now the reason I'm actually coming here again, or coming here, not again, is because there's another breakable wall right there. You can see it's got cracks in it. And that means you can break it. So, yeah, the good kind of batarangs, the homing ones. See, and it automatically switched for me, and that doesn't always do that. I don't know why it starts doing that in the last level. Maybe a programming glitch or something, I don't know. But I will use the homing for this chick up here because... yeah. And switch back to this one, because there's going to be another one here, I believe. And you can actually kick their knives, which I discovered last night. Very good to know. Oh, no. Crap. This is something you have to worry about. If you get stuck in places like this, there's going to be these pipes down here, and they shoot you all the way back to the beginning. So we've got to do all that over again. And sometimes I notice the power-ups don't reappear. So some of those power-ups you've gained, you don't get to re-earn again. But the enemies come back. That's kind of the kicker. I notice that sometimes the power-ups are there, but other times they weren't. It's weird. Yeah, those are back. Yep, same thing happened again. I'm gonna actually use one of these homing ones. Time that, just use the homing, and there we go, nice and easy. My health is kind of low, so I don't want to get hurt. Oh, come on! Stupid spikes. Why is it not working? Alright, I'm just gonna get back up here. This level is just, it's pretty annoying, so... Pretty annoying is an understatement. It's actually really damn annoying. And this extra life you can get, but there's another pipe here, which will send you back. Yeah. You can do a little trick jump like that, where you can get the extra life without sending you all the way back to the beginning. Ah, man. Alright, well there's at least going to be a heart down here, so just be careful. There we go. Getting a little sloppy now. Just fall straight down here, like so. And just use your batarang. We're pretty much right at the end of this segment, so as long as I don't die, I'm fine. I'm gonna get all my health back. And that should do it. You can basically got one more screen right here, then we're at the final boss, guys. And I've got 8 of these. I'm gonna use these. It's tricky. What I do is I just sit on one platform. I haven't really mastered this part that well. But basically, 2 bazooka guys come up, and then the big clown guy comes up. Kill the clown guy in one hit, otherwise he shoots a homing missile at you. And every couple clowns, the bazooka guys come back up. And one always comes up on you, and then another comes up on the other side. So jump when he comes up, like so. Alright, jump. Clown guy. And that's it. Health is going to refill. Now I'm at the first penguin fight. And I'm actually going to go ahead and use this rope thing since I have it. You want to save that heart piece for when you actually kill him. Because that'll actually refill your health for the next form of the penguin boss fight. Assuming you don't get destroyed by these rocket penguins. Oh, crap. Alright, now I'm going to pick it up because I don't want to die. Sometimes they go low and you can jump over them. Other times, like so, they go high and you have to duck. But the problem is there's this pillar. Not really pillar, but this whole... looks like an old fountain. that you always land on, and you always tend to land on it when they're going high. So it's a little tricky boss. And this is sort of the last segment, and then we're at the final boss fight. The final boss fight. Alright, so what I'm going to do is switch to my Batarang. Now, what happens is the penguin comes out of the ground, and he shoots a sort of white projectile. You can actually kick that, and you want to, because if you don't, it stuns you, and then he shoots a red projectile, and it's a guaranteed hit, and it takes a lot of health away. Now the thing is, there's also this machine at the far right that's causing electricity or ice or something like that, and as long as that's going, the penguin's invincible. You'll take all of his health down, but he won't die. So that was always the part that got me back in the day, and I finally figured it out last night. So what you're going to see me doing is, I'm going to be taking my time here. I'm going to milk the penguin, hit his projectiles, dodge them, and then hit a few bullets at the machine, and then keep bouncing back and forth and doing that until I destroy the machine. Then I can go after the penguin. So penguin's gonna jump up, kick his projectile, jump over the second one, jump over here, use my batarangs to hit the machine, and then just rinse and repeat. This is one of those things where it takes just patience. Oh, it didn't register. I got hit. That sucked. Now, the reason I'm kind of doing this and not, say, going for that heart piece up there is I want to save it. And that was one of the mistakes I made when I first got to him. As I went straight for the heart pieces. And you really want to save them. Because you need them. You're probably going to need them. But if you do what I'm doing, you follow the pattern, you shouldn't have too much of a problem. See, like so. Now that the penguin's down, I can go ahead and just attack him. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this heart piece. And that's it. We just beat Batman Returns on the Sega CD, guys. And that is officially the second time I've ever fully beaten the game. And this is the actual ending. Not much of an ending, it's just really a credits roll and that's about it. But again, it's taking advantage of the Sega CD's built-in hardware scaling. And that's it. Now, what's actually kind of funny is that if you use a cheat code to get to the penguin, if you beat him, you go to an alternate credit screen, and it's a live action platformer credit screen where the credits will roll up as you're fighting, and it's a final boss fight with Catwoman. So pretty cool stuff. If you have this game and you're able to beat the penguin's final form, definitely load up the cheat code and do that. It's pretty neat. It's actually got two different alternate endings that can occur on that final fight with Catwoman. So, pretty cool stuff. I'm not going to be able to show you that because I don't have the code in front of me. I don't have my phone in front of me either, so I'm not going to grab that. But it's definitely something you want to check out if you have this game. So, but if you've never finished this game, but you do own it, definitely get that cheat code and practice the later stages. Because chances are that's what you're going to need practice with. But you can use the cheat code to get to any level you want and just practice. I mean, and yeah, that's how I was able to finally beat the penguin last night. I figured him out, and then after that, it was like, just like that, I was able to destroy him. And now it seems like I can get through him without a problem. So, man. Batman Returns, Sega CD. What time is it? Wow, 3:25. I think I started this around, I think I started this around 1:30. What are we up to? No. Little after 1:30. So we're to the hour and 40-minute mark on this video recording, which is actually only... That's funny. Despite explaining a lot of things, it only took me 10 minutes more to beat the game tonight than it did last night. So, despite doing as much talking as I did, it didn't actually slow down the process that much. So, for those of you guys that have this game, but maybe aren't that great at it, or have never finished it, I hope that I've been able to help you out, and hopefully let you understand the game a little bit better than before. It is a really difficult game. It's a memorizer. It's the kind of game where you have to know the patterns. You have to know it's coming up a little bit. And you have to persevere. That's for damn sure. You got to practice and practice. I mean, like I said, I've been playing this game since I was pretty much 12 or 13. I think I got a Sega CD for my 13th birthday. I think that was it. That's when I asked for it. And Batman Returns was in that first bundle of games I got. And I played it, and I played it, and I played it. And over the years, I played it a lot. But I never could finish it until last night. So, but, I mean, some of my ease of progressing, say, through that first half of the game, it's just because those are the parts of the game I played all the time as a kid. I could get through those parts, but it was the later parts I had a hard time with as a kid. And then as a late teen, or in my early 20s even, I could get farther. I could get up to that second, or that last driving segment, and that's what gave me a really hard time. And then after that, not knowing the penguin stage, and then when I finally got to the penguin, not knowing what the hell I was supposed to do, but being too stubborn to, say, look up a walkthrough or get a cheat code or something like that, I just assumed I would never beat the game, and I left it at that until last night. So... But yeah, I hope this video was helpful. Hope it was at least somewhat entertaining, educational, whatever. And, well, if you've never seen Batman Returns all the way through on the Sega CD, now you have. So, and it was only the second time I've ever seen it all the way through, so I'm only one ahead of you guys now. But now I think I'm going to retire this game. I think I've had my fill of Batman Returns for the last few days, and I will retire it for the time being and revisit it down the road and hope that I've remembered what I learned from it, from these last few days of playing it. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I've got actually quite a few more Sega CD Let's Plays on the way. Some are going to be actual Let's Plays like this, where I run through games I know. Others are going to be... I think I'm going to come up with a new series for Let's Plays called Let's Attempt to Play a Game. And I have a couple Sega CD stinkers, like Cliffhanger, which is actually kind of ironic, because Cliffhanger uses, I think, the same scaling technique for its driving segments, or technically snowboarding segments. And they're really, really cool looking, but they're awful. Cliffhanger is just an awful game. Very poorly designed. And if you think that the last driving segment of this was poorly designed, you haven't seen anything yet until you see Cliffhanger. But another one would be Bram Stoker's Dracula on the Sega CD. Just an absolutely awful game. It had potential to be somewhat entertaining, but it's just so poorly designed and so insanely difficult, even at the very beginning of the game. It's no fun. It's not any fun at all. So I'm going to do some Let's Plays like that in the future, but I'm also going to have some Let's Plays of games I'm much more familiar with that are actually good games, like Android Assault on the Sega CD and Prince of Persia on the Sega CD. You will definitely see a Let's Play soon for those games. So, yeah. With that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. I want to say thanks for watching, and if you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe. Like I said, lots of Let's Plays on the way, as well as some other videos whenever I feel like getting my butt in gear to do them. So anyway, guys, with that, have a good night or good afternoon, whatever time of the day it is for you, and I will catch you next time. Take care.